love like this.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Love Like This Lovecast. I am half of your host, Orlando Roy, a.k.a. Horlando, a.k.a. the Big Dick Bad Bitch. And sitting here right here next to me is my beautiful soon-to-be wife and co-host, Jamila, a.k.a. the sex of the podcast, a.k.a. Hoochie Mom herself. Say hello, Jamila.
Hi.
And if this is your first time listening to this podcast, welcome. We're willing to bring you something very sexy this episode. If you listened to the episodes before, oh yeah, I know why you came back and listen again. And if you're up to episode 50, 100, or 150, that means me and my sexy wife to be right here is hopefully married already. And we're still rocking. We want to welcome you back to Love Like This Lovecast. How you doing, baby girl?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Was that better? Did I do good that time with the intro?
So good.
That was sarcasm?
No.
Oh, okay, baby. Come on now. You gotta, you know, we're going to get there.
We're going to get there what?
What we're doing with the flow and stuff like that. Yeah, we're going to get there with bringing your energy in the beginning. That's what we're going to get. Just like how you have an energy for, know what I mean?
No.
For the, know what I mean?
No.
When you want to, I need that same type of energy. You look good.
Do I? What's
Are
you saying I have energy for sex, but I don't have energy for the podcast?
Yeah. The Lovecast.
The Lovecast.
Mm-hmm.
I do have energy. This is my energy.
This is your energy? Mm-hmm. That's true. I'll be the one that'd be in the bed like, you be like, you bring the sex to the bedroom, the sexiness to the bedroom. I bring the man aggression.
Are you trying to call me a pillow princess?
No, not at all. I mean, even though you mostly are on the bottom, but no, I would never call you a pillow princess.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, not at all. I would never be sarcastic when talking about our sex life and how you never really get on top that much.
I know. You couldn't possibly be talking about me because for me to be a pillow princess, it would imply that, you know, I was laying on my back, receiving often. And, you know, sometimes.
It never used to be this way.
It never used to be this way.
It used to be so much different.
When?
Back in the days. Remember when we went to Mexico? We went to Mexico and as soon as we saw each other, we got crazy. We were having sex for like 11 hours straight.
It wasn't 11 hours. It was a
we
few
had
hours.
A lot of sex, and each time was like a few hours each time.
Maybe. We were really excited to see each other, though.
We were. That's when we built our foundation.
Okay, so story time.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time, Orlando and I had been dating for a year, and then we decided to promote the relationship.
Ooh, we decided to promote the relationship from dating to boyfriend and girlfriend.
So at some point we were still living on separate coasts. Orlando was living in Brooklyn and I was living here in LA. And for those of you who don't know, we're at home.
Listen, if you go to YouTube, we created the YouTube. Can I get a round of applause? We created a YouTube and now you can go search Love Like This on YouTube and see where we are. You see this beautiful green ass couch? What is this, jade or emerald? Wow, don't fuck up the couch, babe.
Emerald.
We're going back to recording in the studio where you can get shit like you can fuck up the couches and Jesus Christ. Anyway, if you go to our YouTube, Love Like This, anywhere you want to watch us, listen to us, it's Love Like This. If you want to follow us, it's Hoochie Mom and Dad or WH_Orlando Roy and Mila_Matt. But yeah, we're recording at home right now, so you can see the beauty and lusciousness and the jungle behind us and how sexy my woman looks in her lingerie.
If I'm going to record at home, I might as well be wearing my intimates.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the intimates. And while I'm over here in cargo fatigue and a long sleeve shirt, just the opposite.
You know, I've had to just already accept, and whoever's listening should too, that, you know, you're going to get what you're going to get. It's going to be a variety show, mostly because Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
the other day I wore a robe and he wore dress shoes. So, I'm not getting the memos.
Somebody's missing the memo.
So whatever.
Somebody's not getting the email.
I just had to accept that I'm going to have to roll with the punches.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're in Mexico, or we're going to Mexico because we're in a relationship now.
No, I think once we promoted our relationship to open long distance girlfriend and boyfriend, I think I mentioned to you, like, I really wanted to go on a month-long trip. That wasn't necessarily work related, but I wanted to really go alone, but I was too afraid to go alone. And Orlando was with the shits. So I recruited him and he obliged. And so we made this plan pretty early into the year, and we planned it for June, the month of June. It was the month my book was due. So I got to complete my book, and I think when we decided to go, we didn't know that we were deciding that this would be a jump-off point for him moving to LA. We just thought it was going to be a 30-day stay, and at some point, as the trip kind of got close, Orlando made the decision that he was going to move to LA after the month-long vacation in Mexico. And
Genius idea, by the way.
He also, he marketed it to me. He marketed and advertised the trip in a way that we would be laying the foundation of our relationship, and then he would be moving in with me. He mentioned this, but I wasn't really listening. I was like, he's going to come to LA and see how he likes it. But he was really dedicated to moving in, and he kept dropping hints, but I think I was just not really.
The hints were, I'm leaving one bag at your house, and I'm packing half of another bag of all my stuff, and I'm bringing it to LA. I don't understand how you didn't get the memo of I was moving in with you, and how that was a hint.
Anyway, the benefits of this trip were, although I was kind of unaware at the time what was happening, it ultimately ended up being something beneficial. And so we always recommend, or always say, if you are in the position or you can, take a solo extended trip with someone, you're going steady with, or you just started going steady, or you're in a transitional time where you may be deciding to move in together. Or like us, not only were we moving in together, but we were living in the same city for the first time. So we're dating, living in the same city, but not only we're living in the same city, we're living in the same household, which it could have gone either way, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh. I just had something that was so good for this. I was going, anytime you're promoting your relationship, this might be like a good little, if possible, this is a good little trip to do, a 30-day trip together at any point where you promote your relationship, just to see if y'all are going to be on the same page going forward. Because
here's the thing is, even in friendships, going on a trip will make or break the friendship.
Oh, yes.
You will know if you can travel with leisure and ease with somebody, then you'll know if you can generally, have a real friendship or a real relationship. So it was important to me. We had traveled together once before for a week, within like a few days of knowing each other, to Mexico as well. So Mexico has been a pretty staple part of our relationship. But yeah, I think being with someone every day, being in the same quarters, being able to coordinate daily in a foreign country where there may or may not be a language barrier, and there are just things that you have to move through, and a style of communication that has to be present in order to travel with someone successfully, and also like a style of personalities, because some people want, you'll see those type of personality traits, whether they clash or they work together, those type of things will be discovered pretty quickly, I feel like, in the setting of a vacation.
You look so fucking good right now.
Thank you. I do look pretty sexy.
You are very sexy. I'm definitely overdressed. You definitely learn who people are on vacation. we set this up because we want to go 30 days, go away for 30 days. Oh yeah, so we get this beautiful, fucking, what do we call it? A loft?
It was just a little apartment.
Oh, a beautiful little apartment in Tulum, Mexico. And we get there like, you know what? We're going to knock out some work, which the first week was like work week. We knocked out so much work like every day. You were writing your book. I was just doing a bunch of editing and just podcasting work. And we were like that first week we were just chilling in the crib. We were having sex, cooking together, and working. And so like we had this plan without plan, because you said that you went away with somebody and they were like super planned the whole trip and it was terrible.
Yeah, I went to Mexico too, and yeah, it was we were not on the same page, and it was by like day 4, it was like extremely clear that I was with some friends and they were like, "You're not having fun, are you?" I was like, "Is it that hard to figure out?"
Ouch.
It was just not a cohesive travel relationship.
So when I come to you and I say, "Hey, we're gonna use this trip to do some foundational work for a relationship," what were you thinking? Or you weren't? You were just, fuck it, trip 30 days, cool. I got some dick, got dick for 30 days.
Yeah, I think I was just like, okay, I want to go on vacation for 30 days. I wanted, I just needed to do something for myself, and you were down. And so initially, I'm pretty sure we planned this trip like 4 months ahead of time.
Yeah,
it was probably like February. We went in June.
We booked around like early March.
Yeah, because you pressed me.
Jesus Christ.
I need to be pressed, or else I'd be like, I was thinking, this guy's funny. He's interesting.
My boyfriend's funny and interesting.
Is he really going to move in? I didn't really think much of it, honestly. I think I was just thinking it's going to be fun.
Okay.
But what happened was, between the end of February, early March, between March and June, there were a lot of things that happened in our relationship that kind of rapidly grew the relationship. Accelerated the relationship growth up until the trip. Mm-hmm. So how I was feeling when we decided to start, buy the tickets, definitely was different than when we showed up, because my feelings had become more entangled than they had been in the earlier parts of the year.
Yeah. This also goes to show why, ladies and gentlemen listening to this, if you really want to know if a motherfucker fucks with you, like, pay attention to how they get shit moving when they say they're going to do some shit. Like, the people saying it and then acting on it, and then acting on it with like a sense of urgency, really shows if they're fucking with you or not. Because I came into this saying that, yeah, we're going to, same as Mila, like, we're going to have a trip. We're just going to have some fun and go down there. And then when I realized that life switched over for me and I wanted to move to LA, I was like, yo, let's create this foundation. And for me, that just really meant, let's find out what our base happiness is, right? What does it feel like when we're both happy at the same time in this relationship? What do boundaries feel like for both of us? Like, I feel like we've operated, even in the first 6 months of our relationship, we operated as single individuals because we were so far away, and also because we had this non-monogamous title on our relationship. So we were still together operating somewhat of like single figures because we had so much distance apart from us. So now for me, it was, what space do I need to be in? What space do we need to be in where we're both happy? And we're going to use this 30 days to figure it out. And that was an intention from someone that actually cares, loves about their partner, and wanted to show them what our relationship could look like.
I mean, as soon as I mentioned that this is something I wanted to do, you were with it. And then you were, active on finding the place and buying the tickets and making sure we did it. And so I did. I appreciated the commitment to what I said and like the execution of making it happen, because I need that. You know, I'm a manifester, so I need someone to generate the idea. But also, I think you just being intentional about why we were going and being vocal about it made me have to take it seriously. And I think speaking about it kind of made it manifest that way too. You know, like there wasn't some specific curriculum that we were going to try and like, you know, work week 1, work week 2. But I think what ended up happening was there were things that came up in that time because there was no other time. Like, you know, prior to this trip, I think we probably went to visit each other at least once a month, every month. You were in LA in February. I was in New York in March.
I was back in April.
And we went to DC
in New York in May. Yeah.
And yeah. Mm-hmm. When did we go to New Orleans?
That was April.
Okay, in April. So we were steady growing our relationship. However, it's different growing a relationship long distance when you're non-monogamous versus in person. And so I think we had what?
I just thought it's like, you know, it's different trying to grow your relationship when you get another dick.
I mean, it is. And there's a different level of in-your-faceness that has to happen. Which it's easier for your guard to go back up. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, bye, fuck you.
I don't think women could do it. I don't think women could like... Men can have multiple families and like grow relationships while fucking somebody else. I don't think women can grow a relationship while fucking somebody else.
No, women can.
Yeah, you think
way better than men can, and it's gonna be more. This is a good example because I think the difference is that men do it leisurely without much thought and intention into it, and women really evaluate before doing something like this. The problem is if a woman does it, she's invested in both. Truly. Yeah. There was a time where you were under the impression you weren't growing another relationship or in a relationship with me when the other person didn't have the same intention or mindset. And I think the difference is it's like just men, not that men are dumb, but they're just like, yeah, like, no, yeah, this is working just fine.
Everything is fine.
A woman, it's going to actually be deep and intricate and intentional. And I think that is where we differ. Women are not going to do it as often because I think we know once we sink our teeth in, it's serious. Mm-hmm. But men are just like halfway sinking their teeth into a lot of shit. You know what I mean? I just think it's just...
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Like how that situation ended for you. Mm-hmm. If it had been me with another person that I was investing that much time with, I don't know if it would have been that easy to be like, okay, end scene, you're right. Right. You know what I mean? I would have probably been equally as invested because that's how intentional women are. Where men are just sticking their dicks in people and calling it like Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and calling it a regular day.
Well, in this case, you actually were non-monogamous, having sex with other people while garnering and nurturing our relationship.
Yeah.
Right? So question for you, how did you do it? How did you manage to be able to promote our relationship, maintain loving me while also having sex with other people?
Well, I think I've been honest that when I first decided to be in a relationship with you, I didn't really think it was going to be this. I was really gung-ho on the fact that we didn't live in the same city, so there was a glass ceiling to how far it could go. Mm-hmm. And so I just wasn't... I was like, okay, but I wasn't deeply concerned because I knew there's only so much we can grow. But mostly I was in a place where I wasn't pressed. And so because of that, I think I was able to see how I show up when I'm being extremely honest with someone. Mm-hmm. And when you're honest with someone you're fucking, you are going to inevitably have to be honest with yourself. And so, like, you know, a lot of times people lie to themselves because they can't even be honest with the partners they're lying to. But in a place where I could tell the truth, it made me be really clear about my intentions. And like, I did have somebody I was fucking. I did not know them very well. I met him through another friend who gave him to me. gifted me a fuck buddy.
Hold them.
Yeah, my friend gifted me a fuck buddy. He was handsome. He was cool enough, you know. But when I started to really observe when you were getting close to someone else, how it motivated me to want to play. And I was like, well, this is interesting, right? Like, I'm clearly being moved by someone else's actions, which is not something I really wanted to.
You were only fucking him because I was fucking crazy.
No, I wasn't. That wasn't even it, because I'm a Cancer. I'm a tit for tat type of bitch. But I wasn't so tit for tat that I was like outside trying to go find someone that I really liked, because I knew there was no fucking hope at that point. But also I did see where I was like, let me go try and spend more time with this person to see if I can talk to them, you know, because I am very black and white. I can have a nigga come over at 11 and we can talk for 20 seconds and then be like, let's go. But even at that point in my life, I did it and I was fine with it, but I was craving something a little bit more. So I would try to see where it would go. But I wasn't so pressed that I was forcing some shit, because we were cool, but that was it. There wasn't much else. And
so, like, this nigga's over here talking to his fuck buddy. Let me talk to mine. Let me have a conversation with my fuck buddy. See how I shake it up.
But generally, like, I'm a sapiosexual. Like, I do want to talk in order to want to fuck. Like, even if I'm at a sex party, like, I want to have a 10-minute conversation.
You got to be mentally stimulated.
I have to be mentally stimulated.
That's a sapiosexual?
Yeah. Make me a little curious. Make me want to know more. I don't know. If I don't want to know more, I'm not, even if you're fine, I'm not really motivated. Yeah. But I just think that it just made me super hyper aware of the unhealthy addictions that I had with people. If I was spending time with people just because for the fuck of it, if it was real, if it was necessary, or if it was because this nigga's doing the same thing and now I'm annoyed. So I think I was in a very mature place where I was able to then identify too, like, damn, you're just acting out of loneliness. You're acting out. And then it also made me like, do I need to be with this nigga? Because obviously there's something that I want that's more substance that I can't get from somebody who's far away. And so I was just being extremely honest about, you know, my capacity.
That's real. Like, realizing that you may need something more in the reaction of like what you're doing, and then also realizing maybe you don't need to be with somebody that's like so far away, because truly, honest to God, hanging out with you in between the 6 months before we decided to go away and like start our foundation, I was like, I can't be long distance. It's just not gonna work. I even found myself like acting up the way I did, where not relax.
Whoa, is that accountability? What was that? You found yourself
I found
what?
myself acting up the way I was because you were so far away, and I will. So it would be like,
Tell me more.
my girl isn't like close by, and I do want somebody here. So I guess let me just call my fuck buddy to just come over and just like kill that time that my girl can't be here. So instead of just sitting in this moment of, you know what,
clarity.
Can you relax?
Sorry.
Let me be by myself, and let me appreciate this moment where I'm not with anyone. If I'm not with my girl,
forcing it.
And instead let me not go ahead and like force it just to be around anybody just because my girl isn't around. Like, it's okay to be alone. What I was learning was it was okay for me to like just chill and be by myself without you being there, which came very steadfast and quick when my fuck buddy decided to tell me that she started having feelings for me, and I was like, oh no, this can not be a thing. And then when I was alone and I didn't have like my the go-to fuck buddy to like ask to come over, I was like, oh,
that went until basically you left to Mexico.
Well, it was a whole month.
Literally like broke it up.
It was a month before when she did that, and then I came to Mexico. That's when I started to realize like, oh, just because I had the ability to have somebody over, I started to realize the amount of times I would call her over just because you weren't in the vicinity. And it also showed me that I actually needed to be in a relationship that was close by, because then I just started doing shit just to do shit because I could do shit.
If you're not, you should really go to YouTube to see my face. It's going to be my faces that really going to give it all away. I think my other thing with you was, as we were spending more time together, you know, I would come to New York for a week. I would extend 3 days, like all these things. It's like, for me, and whatever, like, I'm going to come on that podcast with my expertise, but I'm going to come very human, and I'm going to be very honest and sometimes shallow. After spending a significant time with me, like a week back to back, for me, it was just like, you don't feel the difference. You don't know the difference between me and this other bitch. It started to make me not like you, because I was like, he's just confused. Because for women, this is the thing. I think this is the difference. For women, when we really like someone and we fuck with someone, it's not that we can't be in love with someone else. It's that it's very difficult and very rare that we will find 2 men or whoever, 2 humans that we like equally as much in the same time. Because generally speaking, and anyone listening will know this, someone's going to outweigh the other's energy. And then you want to just zoom into that person. And then, in fact, it's almost like annoying to be around the other person, because now you're not as fun or as entertaining or as stimulating as this other person.
That is what happened to me. That is exactly what happened. After I come back from hanging out with you for like a week or a few days, I would be home like, oh shit, she's not here. Mila's not here. And also, I can't get Mila to get here anytime soon. How can I supplement this gap of not being around the person I want to be around? I can't get you. What can I get at this moment?
I also want to preface this conversation by saying, I think that I think women and men arrive, if ever, at this realization at different times, because I'm a little bit older than Orlando, so I've probably been hoeing a little bit longer. But mostly, I think women, there's this amazing book called Communion by Bell Hooks, and I recommend everybody read it. And like, it's right here, but I've been reading it. Like, I need to like highlight some things, because it really dives deep into the Western world's view of women and how much our worth has been tied to our partnership status, but mostly also like just in the world of shame. Women are scrutinized for fucking casually, shamed, judged, called Jezebels. There's these labels that are put on us just from doing what men do all the time, which was exercise their sexuality. So I think that with that shame and with that negative inner talk about not being sexually, free and just fucking leisurely, I think because we have so much hyper awareness around leisure fucking, these epiphanies happen much sooner in women, because there's already so many outside factors of society pressing us to be partnered or to be serious, or your friends are getting married or people are having kids. So for me, I mean, I thought I would never come to this conclusion, but I'm such an empath. It was difficult to be like, I want to hang out with niggas when clearly actually I don't. They're actually very fucking annoying. And I really just wanted a warm body next to me to shut the fuck up and maybe tell a few good jokes, but not even that's too much to fucking ask. But I think that it's a miracle that we came to this conclusion around. I mean, we didn't, because I arrived sooner, but I do think that men seldomly come to this conclusion because they are celebrated for fucking casually without much depth. Right. It's normalized to be like, that's why niggas think they're in love. Like, yeah, I like her. Like, you don't even know her, nigga. Because this is the depth in which is expected from you, and it takes a really mature, emotionally evolved, mature man to be like, I want more than just some pussy. Mm-hmm. I would like to talk about my future. Men are so surface that I don't think they're all there yet. And most niggas get to 45 and they're in the club and they're like, oh shit, this is dumb. But I do think that. I
know you hate them 45-year-olds in the club.
I do. I am not a strong supporter of the 45-year-old club promoter, but everybody needs to get their cash and their attention. But yeah, I think that just in the cycle of life, I was arriving to a different reality. And I have been podcasting for a long time. I definitely attribute podcasting, speaking honestly, for just the level of self-reflection that I've been able to be clear about. So all that to say, you're a hoe.
Wow. Okay. Can't deny that.
You're a fucking hoe. But also, like when we got to Mexico, we were still non-monogamous, and there were a couple of obstacles that came up pretty immediately, where we were having real-time fights, and I was like, oh no, I'm not used to this, because we didn't do a lot of fighting in person because we weren't in person. Mm-hmm. And when you're long distance, you're not going to fight as much, because what is there to fight about? We're not even fucking together.
Yeah.
So I think that was like a much needed reality check before you came and moved up in my house. And then I would be feeling really stuck and like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Because also my number one response in conflict is to
freeze,
to run, and to detach and to leave and say, I'm good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I did get to see that detachment within that first month, which is really good. Not necessarily that it got triggered, because I know your detachment and your freezing up came up because like I was basically barking on you. We were having an argument, and then like I was raising my voice where I was like barking on you, and you just like shut down and like curled up on the bed. It was the first time I could honestly say that like I've ever seen something like that. And instead of, usually if I'm already arguing, my like MO is like in an argument the louder person wins. So it's not really, but I'm talking about in an argument. Arguments don't really make sense. If you were to put an argument in a normal tone, it's not really going to make sense. It's the yelling that makes us feel like we're really justified in like what we're saying. And so for me, it was just like the louder person wins. So when I yelled and you gave me nothing at all, it was just like, oh shit, what do I do now? And then my response would usually be to just let time go by, right? And let it just like go away, or just like act like we just move past it, like it didn't happen, or we don't have to talk about it, like we're just over it. That would usually be my MO. And this is the first time I can say that I saw something like that, and my reaction was to be more loving, even with my anger. And so I remember coming over to you and like just holding you and like hugging you, and I feel like we just had like a regular calm conversation.
That was my first time being in an argument and someone coming to me and reverting from yelling and screaming and just saying, I'm sorry, and touching me, and just coming down, first to meet me, where I was at. And like, just side note too, is, and I don't even know if I realize at this point, like I've had a pretty long background of abusive relationships, both verbally and physically. And I would like to say like I'm a pretty strong bitch. And I think at that point, I wasn't really aware of how much trauma. I mean, I was, but not, I wouldn't ever go say that. But it was really clear how much trauma was coming up just by how I reacted. Like, I guess because I haven't been in a lot of relationships since some of those relationships, I haven't had a reason to feel stuck. I'd just be like, fuck you, get out, But I think this was my first encounter with somebody that I loved, where we were getting in a disagreement, and the yelling brought me right back to a place that I had completely, and I had completely like shut down from. And so it was my first time seeing myself react that way in a new situation. And it was my first time dealing with someone who noticed it and then retracted and, changed course to approach me differently and to approach me softly. And I think you coming to me in that way made it really clear how much work I needed to do to re-regulate my nervous system. And to honestly be real with myself about how many stains those relationships left on me, and how it shows up and how I show up.
Yeah. I mean, you showing up also helped me like navigate this, like how to argue or how to how to navigate my emotions during like this time where I'm like upset with you, like the 30 days of us being in Mexico together, because usually it'll be easy for me to detach and move on. And you've seen how like I do with people, like I can compartmentalize people at a certain level of like friends or just acquaintances, or like demote people in my life, and I can feel like perfectly normal. Oh yeah, you hear that? That's Hollywood, baby.
Aquariuses are like low-key sociopaths.
Right, compartmentalizing sociopaths. So usually what would happen is I would be so into finding my person that if I'm having an argument with somebody, I'll go, oh, you can't be my person, because we wouldn't even end up here. So I would just detach and move on. And it will always be so easy for me to detach and move on from prior relationships, because I was so gun-ho on this like journey to find my person. And then when I finally get to you, and I got to the point of where I felt as if I am arguing just the same as I did in my past, but this person is different. The things that we've been through, the experiences we had before was different. And I was literally stuck in this 30 days scenario with this person. So I had to figure out something different. And so like being with you in this like foundational period of like building our relationship, I realized that if I'm going to have a different relationship, if this relationship is going to be the relationship, then it needs to be approached differently than the relationships in my past.
Yeah.
So that's why I came to you with love. I mean, mostly also because I'm a loving person. So my approach mostly is of love and care. And so in that moment, I was like, I don't even know what to do. I know I'm the cause. Whatever we're arguing about, I'm the cause of this pain right now because my yelling caused her to freeze up. What do I need to do to get us back to a regularity? And the hugging and touching and like just apologizing for getting you to like this space of feeling was my one way. And just to tie this all in, it was the beginning of noticing what our happy foundation is together and what it looks like when it's disrupted.
Well, I think that a lot of people suffer from traumatic responses and arguments, but we're just not self-aware enough to identify them and then actually try and...
You're smart. You're so goddamn smart when you say stuff.
I mean, try to heal them. You know, like maybe you're listening and maybe you haven't been in a, 5-year fucking abusive, verbally and physically abusive relationship, but maybe you grew up in a household that it was verbally abusive. And my household was, we talk extremely aggressively to each other. That's just the norm. And so I realized
we talk extremely loud to each other. Like it doesn't have to be aggressive. It's just always loud. And then the loudness feels aggressive all the time. Yeah, go ahead.
No. And so it's just like, I think as humans and especially Black people, we don't really chop up our trauma to trauma and we don't really identify it. And so we're moving around in the world like we're okay, but there's a lot of trauma responses that we're living through and we're working through without knowing we need to work through it. And I just think that what was I going to say? Fuck, I was going to say something.
The trauma responses having arguments and how we built like the foundation of happiness after it.
Well, I think one of the things in this relationship that has continuously been a question that has come up for me is, but do you still love him? Mm-hmm. But do you still want this relationship? And I think that I haven't been compelled to ask that question a lot because it's like, no, I do not. But I think that that's the difference. I think we're both loving people. I think we both are kind people. But I think that you're going to know if you're in a relationship with the person you're supposed to be in a relationship with because everything in your body is going to be like, yeah, this is fucked up and you don't agree with this. But do you still want to be with them? And I think when the answer is probably it's not, there's nothing here for you, you'll feel that. But when you know that there's probably something worth fighting for and worth getting to the bottom of, and that there's a route to that, and there's a possibility that you can communicate in a way that will actually be successful, then your body is going to be like, you're good.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of things in that first, 6 months that I was like, fuck this nigga. But there was also this other very strong factor. It was like, you still love this person, and then like the wherewithal to like move through it. And I'm grateful for that time in Mexico where we got into this argument and you started fucking screaming at me and I totally froze. Because like, had you ever seen me cry before?
Mm-mm. I still don't really see you cry that much now.
You don't think so?
Not a lot. Like, I feel like I'm more of the crier of this fucking relationship at this point.
Do you think that I have like a hard outer shell?
No, I think you have one of those like steel doors that's like, so open and you can see inside the room and you can see everything. Like, those government and the bank steel doors where you can see all the money and the gold, and you give people access to like the money and the gold and the happy, beautiful parts of you. And as soon as you feel away, that shit shuts so quickly. And it's not like, it's like those cartoon doors, right? Where the steel door closes and then the brick wall comes up and then like two more steel door closes and the wooden door closes. It's like all these all these door close and like you shut it down, and it's like, it shut down so quick and so quickly that sometimes I personally don't feel like it needs to be like it needed to happen at this time. And so even if it's for something very little and you shut down and you put those steel doors up, I'll be knocking on the other side like, hold on, no, it wasn't even that serious. And so it's easy for me to feel that shutdown because that shit is so strong and it's so apparent because you can see all the money, silver, and golds inside. And then you can see when that shit is gone. Like, your shutdowns are very, very apparent.
I'm a Cancer.
Yeah. But also just knowing you, getting to know you and know who you are and know how you are in a normal space, and knowing that you freezing up and curling up on the bed with nothing to say is not normal. That wasn't a shot. But you with nothing to say is not normal. And so that's on you. Like, you just got to approach this different. And like I said before, there's been women that I've had situations with and I've just like turned my back on. Like, I'm not dealing with this shit.
Oh, but when I froze, you said I'm dealing with that shit.
I'm dealing with this shit. I'm dealing with this. I'm getting this out the way because this is a forever thought. Right? If I don't nick this in the butt now, how is this going to come back to bite me in the future? How is your lack of happiness going to come back to be detrimental to me and our relationship in the future? And so and over time of specifically dating you, I've realized the terminology happy wife, like happy life. And to me, it's not necessarily like, break your back and do everything to make her happy, even at the detriment of even at the expense of your happiness. That's not what it means. It means if you continue to do things to make this person happy in your relationship, they're going to bring back it to you tenfold, right? And if there's anything that might be a detriment to this person's happiness, right, you're going to feel that lack of love tenfold. It's just, me personally, I just think it's naturally how women react to the happiness, the excitement, and the pleasure part of their emotions, where they're energized by it and they're willing to give back even more by it. So just for me, just seeing you in this space and seeing you do something that was so different in this new relationship that I've never seen before, I was like, I'm gonna have to nurture and like figure out like what to do with this, because this is gonna come back to be worse down the line if we're doing this forever.
I think a lot of people fuck up this part because I think that women in general, if you are soft with us and to our shortcomings and understanding and attentive to, maybe the fact that, this person may have walls up because of trends in another relationship. And obviously it has to be someone who's willing to be working through those things and not just like wearing it as a badge and as an excuse. But I think that most women are naturally going to follow in their man's steps. And if you're a man, listening and you show up in a way that is nurturing and soft in response to maybe her shutting down or shutting off or responding poorly, and you can meet her in a way that's nurturing and understanding and comforting, then 9 times out of 10 it's going to mold and train your partner to show up the same way when it comes to you.
Mm-hmm. This is why I never understand the statement of why men are asking women, what do you bring to the table? You will never know what a woman brings to the table if you're asking her what she brings initially. Because if you go and give to her and pour into her, she's always going to give more than what she could ever tell you she brought to the table. And that's how you get what women bring to the table, is giving, nurturing, and then naturally and organically giving back tenfold, because that's what they're energized by. They're energized by a man or a person, whoever they're fucking dating, taking care of them, prioritizing them, and putting them in a space of comfort and happiness, and so that they can be re-energized by it and then give it back in whatever way that they do, if they really fucking like you.
Yeah, I think because men generally lead, I think that if you can show up in a way that exemplifies leadership and the ways in which you want to be held down, then women are going to 9 times out of 10 mirror that behavior.
Well, Negroes don't know how to lead. People
don't
know how to be leaders, or what it means to be a leader as a person and in your relationship.
Well, because today's men are cloaked with this idea of toxic masculinity as real masculinity. And so they are under the impression that beating their chest and getting a microphone and telling all the bitches why they're unworthy is making them masculine on the internet. But the truth of the matter is, the true divine masculine leaders are men who are equally as in touch with both sides of themselves, their yin and their yang, their femininity, because women desire and need to be nurtured, and women desire and need to feel comfortable, and women desire and need to feel safe in 365 in all seasons. And what I think we've generally gotten is, you're safe if you have or do this. Mm-hmm. You are nurtured if you do this. And what happens with conditional love is that it's not safe. And so a woman doesn't feel safe to give you 110% of her love and nurturing, because we know subconsciously in the back of our minds, if the wrong homie says something, then you can easily label me and throw me away. I'm disposable. And actually my honesty could be the gateway to that condition. If I say, I want to have it, I watched an MMF porn and now I want that, man will be like, you ain't my wife. And that there's nothing safe about that. There's nothing safe about being like, when I was 18, I did some shit. And the guy being like, oh, can't be my woman anymore. There's nothing.
Or I'll give you even another example of when men go, I want to do all these other things with all these other women, but not with my wife.
There's a level of access you're giving other women, and even further than that, there's a level. This is where the fucking, to me, mental illness comes in. Mm-hmm. For any conscious man to tell the woman he marries and takes vows with, oh no, I don't do this with you, but this other person over here, this whore at the fucking whorehouse, the massage bitch, gets a part of me that you'll never get. Sex is vulnerable. Intimacy is vulnerable. That's a part of honesty. If I can show up honest in the bedroom and naked, that is the most vulnerable and intimate I'll ever show up. But if you're offering that exclusively to somebody else because you've labeled her or this person a freak. What did the stupid guy that I hate on the podcast? Oh no, I don't. He was talking about the porn girl.
Oh, I can't remember what he said.
I likes me a freak. Oh, he was saying.
Are you talking about Charleston White?
No, not him. That fucking rapist. No, not Al Sharpton. The one from the stupid Sharon. The fucking black guy who just interviewed fucking Cat Williams and interviewed Brittany Renner.
Oh, you talking about Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp.
Is that the one he said that one of these fucking goofies from the fucking NBA, NFL fucking talking. One of the goofies not playing sports, talking in the stupid ass suits, who has a podcast, was talking about how he wants him a freak. He don't want no virgin like the girl from Insecure. And you know, this concept of fuck the whore, marry the saint is such a demise to our community. Honestly,
it's a mental illness.
It's a mental illness because we're asking people to not be people. You're asking women to not be human. And the truth is, every human has a sexual aspect. We all have fucking genitals and reproductive organs and hormones and estrogen and testosterone. And there are things like innately, primally.
Talk about it, Pastor.
Huh?
Talk about it, Pastor.
Primally,
you preaching.
On a primal level, all living beings have the innate desire biologically to fucking multiply, be fruitful and multiply. So
to indulge in pleasure. And you know, just to get a little sexologist on you bitches, talk a motherfucking about it.
The clitoris is the only body part whose sole purpose is for pleasure. There's no other purpose. Niggas don't have nothing like that. So that is a God-sent message that women are here to indulge in their pleasure. So this idea and this narrative that women are supposed to somehow compartmentalize their sexuality and their sexualness and their sensuality from their humanness in order to be loved and to be desired and to be kept is so fucking ridiculous. But this is the narrative we've been living by, and it separates us and it divides us from each other and from ourselves. And this is the double standard bullshit that I just can't get with. And this is why there's such a divide, is because there's an expectation of this masculine man, which is not really masculine at all, asking his counterpart to show up unhuman and different than himself. And that's actually fucking dumb and ridiculous. And actually, you do have mental illness because you're expecting something that you can't even deliver. And you're expecting a human to come in a different format. And that's just delusional.
I need to light up because that was beautiful. That was beautiful, and I need to light up because that was beautiful.
I mean, I don't know. I forgot what we were talking about at this point, but
we were talking about treating women and showing up for women and being there for women in a nurturing time, even when their traumas show up, because helping them through their traumas, one, and also making sure that they're happy and pleased is how you get 10 times more from them, and asking them to show up and tell you what they have isn't beneficial to you as a man, because it's how you nurture and take care of this woman that makes her reciprocate that shit by 10. And women can never show you what they offer, because it's what you offer to them, they will always amplify. So you can never see what they amplify if you never give nothing in the first place.
My energy is always going to be a reflection of your attitude and your energy. And as the man, and as we know on the internet and the sex wars of black love, every man wants to be a fucking leader. But if you want to be a leader, you have to come honest. And that means you have to come expecting that your woman also be whole. And also probably have slept with some people. And also probably have sucked some dick. And also probably have done some shit and had a hoe phase. And maybe she has a baby daddy, because we're all fucking human. And I think at its very core, that's all women are asking for, is this fucking humanity piece. Yeah. To be loved and accepted and nurtured the way you expect to be. And this is really a conversation for the men, is because I don't think women really have to be told this, because women are going to just generally show up nurturing. We're going to show up loving. We're going to show up thinking, I mean, not all of us, women suffer from mental illness too, but also just like, you know what? I know Orlando didn't have the closest relationship with his mom. I know that that is probably a piece that he's still are going to always be recovering from and healing from. And so when he reacts in certain ways or acts up in certain ways, I'm mindful of that. I'm mindful of his wounds because he's mindful of mine. And because he's shown me that he can be mindful. And he's shown me that, you know, in a time where I'm essentially being triggered by PTSD, he can disarm and say, I'm here for you, babe, and I understand. And because of that, because I am the ultimate, as you, from this person telling you here, the ultimate shutter downer, it's made me less likely to do this in times where that is my default. Because of you, because of that initial, like how you set the tone for the relationship.
How you set the foundation for your fucking relationship.
And because you showed up in a way that was so accepting of me in all my entirety, in a way I had never experienced from a man. You know, granted, we met podcasting, which is a extremely honest platform and format, but your ability to love me in my truth gave me permission to remove boundaries and rules that I put in place that didn't make any sense because I saw someone exemplifying unconditional love and acceptance for me. That was the only reason I was like, you know what? Fuck that crop top and that man bun.
This nigga held me during my freezing.
At the core of it, there was something, there was a level of love and acceptance that I had access to, even if sometimes it hurt because you were giving me a level of honesty I hadn't experienced before. But the level of honesty accompanied with your acceptance and unconditional love of me with my honesty and embracing the honesty is really what set the tone and really allowed me to show up as a girlfriend and eventually as a wife, you know, and I guess I didn't really realize that until having this conversation. I mean, I guess I did, but I think not a lot of men don't realize this, and even a lot of women.
Not a lot of men realize this.
Not a lot of men realize this. I mean, I don't even think a lot of women realize this because I wasn't even, you know, I had theory, but I hadn't really put the theory in practice, and I had kind of also thought that maybe it was me. Like, I'm just not the type of bitch to end up in a relationship. And I was okay with that. Because I hadn't experienced this type of love and nurture.
You look so good.
Thank you.
Can I get a kiss? Whew. Wow. I got lost in your words and my response, but we've been knocking this out for an hour, and I think that we've done great. And this is your sign to stop listening to them fucking podcasts. And if men are asking you what you bring to the table, be like, bitch, I'm a response to what you do. I'm out of here. Like, because it's gotten really ridiculous now of honestly how we treat men, not how we treat men, how we treat women, and how we expect women to show up. And even the equality in relationships have gone like haywire. I'm glad I'm not dating anymore.
I'm really glad I'm not dating anymore.
Like to give some energy to the episode. And some energy to the episode is just basically, you know, wrapping it up, what we want people to take from this, some advice or anything like that. You got any energy for the people from like what you want them to take from your discussions today?
Don't be distracted by my outfit.
That's a lot of ass.
This is not ebony plug talk, although it could be.
Got a little ashy butt there, baby.
Is it?
Yeah, we got it. Oh no, not the licking of the finger. Okay. You know, black people can't be ashy on TV. You make you look even.
YouTube's gonna be so in the comments.
That's a good looking ass. This is what happens when you record at home. Anyway, yes, energy for the people.
I don't understand. Advice? General speaking?
My energy to y'all to basically sum this all up is to actually, I don't know how I want to end this. What is your definition of a leader for a man?
I think what I described is someone that has the capability of embodying both their yin energy and their yang energy. Someone who can lead as much as they can follow. Someone who can listen as much as they can give and direct. I think someone who is mature and fair and just. I think someone who is compassionate. And someone who is introspective and able to take accountability and reflect and have awareness on all levels and all parties of how their actions, words, and energy can affect others, especially those that they're in a family unit with.
I agree with everything you said. I think also a leader is someone who is an example, right? So I think a man's energy is strong in the relationship and in a family dynamic. So if shit in your relationship is kind of like haywire, shit in your relationship is kind of feel like it's like walking on eggshells or tense. Like I've realized that even with you, in the points where even I'm upset, I have to be the leader in initiating the path towards like our normal happy space, right? And not to say like, you know, men need to take up like the pressure and like it's all a burden or it's all on you. But when your relationship isn't at a certain level, there is a level of like accountability when it comes to exemplifying what kind of relationship that you want, that you have to take on as a man. So
you have to set the tone for the type of relationship.
You have to set the tone, right?
And that doesn't mean like a dictatorship.
It does exactly. It doesn't mean that what you say. It doesn't mean a dictatorship. It doesn't mean what you say goes. It means that there is fairness, but you could present the fairness. You can lead by example, like, hey, I realized I was doing this. I want you to have this as well. I realize that shit might not be even for you in this space. I want to give more to you. Hey, I feel like things are lacking for me with love at this time. I would like for you to give me more. You are exemplifying leadership by speaking up, and so you are enabling the people around you in your relationship to also speak up for what they want and to communicate with you. You communicate in your relationship, you're going to get somebody to start talking and feeling that comfort. Because when women feel that comfort and warmth, they do that and more.
But I only got to this place because I recognized that I was in a relationship and in a friendship and partnership with someone who was actually being realistic and not just realistic in the ways that benefited them. Right. And I always say this, it's like, if I'm white and I'm benefiting from the white supremacy and the white advantage, it's going to be harder to be like, yes, racism is alive and well, and there's no such thing as white people being at an advantage.
Right.
You know, it would be oblivious to things like, you know, like inclusivity and diversity action, because there's a reason those things even exist, right? Because there's a system that exists where there is someone who's been giving that advantage in, like, let's say in the Western world in America. And so the same goes to say for men. We're also existing in a patriarchy. And this is my thing with black women and black men being at odds all the time, is that like we need each other. Mm-hmm. More than any community needs each other. We have to be together. And so when we're like constantly arguing about ridiculous things, I think women have felt unsafe being led by men because we have repeatedly been abused and been gaslit and misled. And I think for me especially, I'm like, I'm not about to be
And that's a scary. Sorry to cut you off, but that's a scary thing about leadership that I've realized for women and like my friends that are women as well. That the fear is being misled. I feel like most or all women don't mind being led by their partner, but the fear is being misled in a direction that wasted their time or they don't feel comfortable in going.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
like just like you said, men have no problem introducing and playing out the idea of a threesome with two women, but God forbid a woman even request or insinuate that there's this complete disdain and disgust. Yeah. And it's just an interesting concept to me. And it's just like, whether or not this is the reality we live in, because this is the systems and what we live in, are you going to subject your woman to the same ridiculous ridicule for the same things that you do in favor, and act like that's normal?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, are you willing to even be fair enough, even if it is against what the majority think is normal, just simply because we both know this is what's fair and righteous. And that's like a very...
Are you willing to take the toxicity out of the thought? Because if we really talk about it and we're not talking about what the toxicity of what the majority thinks, then is this really fair? And or are you willing to indulge and express your pleasures at the same rate that your partner can indulge and express theirs?
That you expect me to listen and to adhere to and to be receptive to and to love you regardless of.
Right, and that's the fairness that comes with the leadership. And are you willing to be that person? And that's what I mean by the fairness and the example. Are you willing to say, yeah, I might want a threesome and I might want more love on the weekends, and I'm also going to show you a loving relationship as an example, because you're going to feel that love and I'm going to make sure of that. And then also, what days do you need me to step up? And what days do you want to have an MMF as well? Like, are we willing? That is leadership.
That's like true democracy. You know, like if we're going to have a democracy if we really and not a dictatorship, like let's talk about it, and not with the expense of me exiling you and you not being able to be a citizen of this, of this unit or whatever.
And the other part is, hey, I know I'm the type of person that may be interested in a woman and me threesome, but not interested in giving someone me, my woman, and another man threesome. So I don't think I can handle being in this type of relationship. Not, I'm going to keep going on because this is a bad bitch that I'm with and I know she wanted, but I'm going to make her think that she can get it, but she's never going to get it.
Right.
Like there's just certain.
But then I'm gonna hoe shame her for being honest.
Right.
And make her feel less than and belittled by the honesty and less safe. And I'm going to utilize my love as leverage and manipulation. And then that's where
then it's also the other side of, I'm going to give my man whatever they want because I want a warm body next to me. So I'm willing to manipulate this man and make him think that I'm down for some shit that I'm really not down for.
And it just creates hostile relationships and hostile environments. And I think that's the energy that we see a lot on the internet right now. We're both tired and stubborn, and there's a lot of water under the bridge that needs to be healed, but
it needs to be addressed.
It needs to be addressed.
And that's how it's healed. Like, let's talk about it. So that's what I want people to get from like what we did. We decided to address it. We decided to talk about it, and we decided to not make it be toxic anymore and to be fair and to be an example. We both were examples. I'll give us that much. It wasn't just me. We were both examples in this relationship.
But you've led, and I appreciate that because I needed leading. I don't know if I was capable under any other circumstance.
Yeah. Wow, you sounded beautiful today.
Thank you.
On the Ricka mic. Where can the people Ricka see you and Ricka find you? Ricka.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I can't be a DJ?
No.
Okay.
DJ O is not on the Ricky ones and twos. You can find me on Instagram at Mila, MILAH_map with 2 P's. You can find us both at Hoochie Mom and Dad.
Hey, if you want to watch, listen, we are Love Like This, the Lovecast baby, and I am WH_Orlando Roy, a.k.a. the Big Dick Bad Bitch.
If you have any questions, stories, advice questions, send them to us.
yeah, we're here to listen to you, like we listen to each other, and you know, you can listen like this, and you can have a love like this.
Love you.
Love you too.
La like this.